Black waiter fed two orphans, then 22 years later, a Rolls-Royce appeared in front of his hotel. Some moments feel small when they happen. A plate of food. A quiet decision. A simple act no one else notices. But sometimes, those moments echo for decades, waiting for the perfect time to return. Tonight's story is about a man who thought he was just being human, and how kindness he gave away on an ordinary night came back to him in the most extraordinary way. Before we begin, if stories like this remind you that goodness still exists in the world, take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. You're watching Kindness Story Hub, where one act of kindness can change a lifetime. 22 years ago, Marcus Reed stood behind the counter of a small hotel restaurant in Savannah, Georgia. It wasn't a fancy place. The carpet was worn thin near the doors, and the lights flickered when the air conditioner kicked on. But Marcus showed up every day in a clean white shirt, black vest, and a tie he ironed himself each morning. At 34 years old, Marcus had already learned that life didn't hand out many favors. He had lost his mother young, never knew his father, and worked 2 jobs just to keep a small apartment and help his younger sister through college. Still, Marcus had a habit that never faded. He noticed people. That rainy night, business was slow. A few travelers sat quietly, tapping on phones or sipping coffee. Then Marcus saw them through the glass doors. 2 children. A boy and a girl. Soaked. Thin jackets. Shoes that had seen better days. They hesitated before stepping inside, whispering to each other, clearly unsure if they belonged there. Marcus felt it in his chest before he thought about it. The manager had a rule. No loitering. No exceptions. Kids who didn't order were asked to leave. The children sat at the far table, heads down, sharing a single glass of water. Marcus approached them with menus, but before he could speak, the boy looked up. "Sir, how much is the cheapest thing here?" Marcus glanced at the menu. Then at their hands red from the cold. "Why don't you tell me your names first?" he said gently. "I'm Daniel," the boy replied. "This is my sister, Lily." Marcus nodded. "Nice to meet you." He walked back to the kitchen, heart racing. He knew what he was about to do could cost him his job. But he also knew what hunger felt like. He remembered nights when dinner was just sleep. Marcus paid for 2 full meals out of his own pocket. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, warm rolls, and hot chocolate. When he set the plates down, Lily's eyes widened. Daniel swallowed hard. "We can't pay for this," Daniel said quickly, and Marcus smiled. "You already did." "With what?" Lily asked. "By letting me serve you," Marcus said. They ate slowly, like they were afraid the food might disappear if they rushed. Marcus checked on them between tables, pretending it was just part of the job. When they finished, he slipped them 2 paper bags with extra rolls and fruit. "For later," he said. As they stood to leave, Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled dollar bill. "It's all I have," he said. Embarrassed, Marcus pushed his hand back gently. "One day, when you can, help someone else. That's payment enough." Daniel nodded like he was making a promise. That night, Marcus went home with lighter pockets but a full heart. He never saw the children again. Years passed. Marcus lost the job eventually, not because of that night, but because the hotel closed. He moved cities, worked banquets, diners, and finally settled as a head waiter at a respectable downtown hotel in Atlanta. Life stayed modest. Honest. Quiet. He never owned a new car. Never took big vacations. But he helped where he could. A free coffee here. A warm meal there. Then one crisp autumn morning, everything changed. Marcus was finishing his morning shift when a buzz moved through the lobby. Guests stopped talking. Phones lifted. Heads turned. Outside the glass doors sat a Rolls-Royce. Polished black. Immaculate. Out of place, like royalty had taken a wrong turn. A suited driver stepped out and opened the rear door. A man in his early 30s emerged, tall, confident, dressed simply but expensively. Beside him stepped a young woman, elegant and calm. They walked inside, eyes scanning the lobby. The manager rushed forward. "Welcome, sir. How may we help you?" The man smiled. "I'm looking for someone." His gaze landed on Marcus. "Are you Marcus Reed?" Marcus froze. "Yes, sir?" The man's face broke into a smile that trembled with emotion. "My name is Daniel," he said. "And this is my sister, Lily." Marcus stared, searching their faces. Daniel stepped closer. 22 years ago, you fed 2 kids who had nothing. You told me to help someone else when I could. Marcus felt his knees weaken. I've been trying to live up to that ever since, Daniel continued. Daniel explained how that night changed everything. How the warmth of that meal gave them hope. How a social worker later found them shelter. How Daniel studied relentlessly, driven by the memory of a man who saw them as human. Daniel became an entrepreneur. Lily became a doctor, and every year, Daniel said softly, we tried to find you. Marcus covered his mouth, tears spilling freely. I didn't do anything special, he whispered. Daniel shook his head. You did everything. Outside, the Rolls-Royce waited. Daniel placed a set of keys in Marcus's hand. This car isn't the gift, he said. It's just a symbol. We've also set up a foundation in your name, one that feeds children who walk into restaurants hungry, just like we did. The lobby stood silent. Marcus looked at the keys, then at the siblings he once served on chipped plates. I don't deserve this, he said. Daniel smiled. Neither did we. That's the point. That night, Marcus drove home slowly, hands trembling on the steering wheel, not from the car, but from the realization that kindness never disappears. IT waits, IT grows, IT comes back when you least expect it, and maybe, just maybe, the smallest act you do today will one day change a life, including your own. Not if this story moved you, share it. Be the reason someone believes in kindness again. Because you never know who's watching, or how far your kindness will travel.